guys, Coach Krause here. Got a real cool one for you today. It's going to have to do with the guard, right? And more specifically, how the guard is what I like to say is relative, right? It's relative to your opponent, right? And it has some mathematical implications that way. I want to talk about them right now. So in boxing, your guard, right? That's your hands basically when they're not in the act of engaging, when they're not in the act of throwing a punch. They are your protection in that respect during this time. And think of your guard like a shield, and they block that kind of incoming fire. But your guard is not arbitrary. Your guard is not attached to you. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say without my guard, I started moving my body and moving my head. And now with my guard, I'm going to do that same thing. And you notice that now my guard is moving along with me. But that means in respect to you, in certain moments, I'm wide open to you, right? Because my guard is just fixed and moving with me. What you really want is your guard to be independent of the movement of your head in relation to your opponent. Let me show you a better example of that. Maggie, come here. So you see, I'm a few inches taller than Maggie, and I'm going to get in my boxing stance relative to her. And you guys can see from this profile that my guard is up, respect to my opponent and her height, right? And I think we'd all agree that my hands are in between her incoming path and me right now. Okay, so I'm going to keep this guard that we all agree is up right now. Guys, switch. So now a much taller opponent, Christian's coming in. And you see that guard that was perfect versus Maggie is actually leaving me wide open to my taller opponent. What I need to do is I need to switch my guard in relation to them. This taller opponent now my guard has to change relative to them, right? So that's what I mean in terms of your guard being relative to the opponent you have in front of you and the height that they are. But more important than that even, or in addition to that I should say, let's say this guard that we agree is up to Christian, my taller opponent. Let's say he threw a left hook at me and I started to bob and weave. And you said, I did not adjust my guard. We would not agree that my hands are up anymore, would we, right? We can see that Christian can throw a straight right hand and nail me because my hands are basically down. But isn't that weird? They were up here, and I didn't do anything different, but when I bobbed and weaved, now they're down. Because as I move, my guard has to change relative to that opponent. So instead of just moving my head down with my hands arbitrarily in this position, let's do that. They got to change. As I get lower, my guard gets higher. So at every part of that movement and at every part of that technique, I have my guard in relation to them up. That makes sense, right? Even more so than for the defense is the offense. If I did what I told you not to do, and he threw that left hook and I went down, I didn't change my guard. So now there's this giant path that I have to take with my fist in order to actually get off a counter shot, right? But let's say you did what I did tell you to do and have your guard relatively change as you move. Now I minimize that path that eventually that punch has to get to the counter shot. Just being aware of this, all right, is going to help you in your overall training. Practice this. But a more specific way to practice is a drill I got. I don't have a fancy name for it, right? But imagine like you're a cinematographer or something and you're looking for that perfect shot. Well, we're going to take that same concept to a drill. And Christian and I that are different heights, he's taller, yes, but I'm more handsome. We're different heights and we're going to put each other in a guard. So right now, each of us is looking at each other through our hands. One of us is going to be the leader. I'll be the leader right now. And Christian, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move around and I'm going to change my levels. And depending on that, I want you to also change your level in relation to keeping your guard up. Does that make sense? Okay. So, if I was doing that drill with you, I see you in between that guard right now. As I move down, my guard moves with me. As I move to the left, my guard moves with me. As I move to the right, my guard with me. My guard changes at every respect relative to my opponent. All right. Anyways, cool little thing. You know, adding that theory of relativity into your boxing training and keeping your hands in the optimal place. Anyways, hope you dug it. Like and subscribe.